So welcome to SAP CEO. This course, this will just be an introduction. Then we go into the config. CEO is a whole lot. It's a world of its own. But in S4HANA, FICO, in terms of configuration, are automatically integrated. But I need to give you some context around CEO. And like I said again, it's one of the most sought after module. In terms of I would say it's the most sought after and probably well paid compared to FI, but FI is more popular, and FI is in fact you can't do without both of them. But in practice, we have CEO consultants and we have FI consultants. And if you're a CEO person, that means you understand one thing. That thing is called management accounting. Let me start a new a new stuff for a new whiteboard for this. So I won't go so deep into CEO, but I'll give you some very good basics for us to work with so that you understand how it works. So this is SAP CEO, a very interesting module, but I'll say a little bit much more. Uh, it's not as straightforward, complex depending on the project, but easy to understand. But one thing you should know about CEO is that it's CEO doesn't have a structure like FI. It has no structure. It doesn't have an international reporting standard that you can follow because at the end of the day, some of these laws affect the way we management prepare their reports. But the cardinal thing about CEO is that it's called management accounting. And why is it so why is it high in demand? Because people who don't have finance background can manage to be FI consultants. They can find their way around it. It's straightforward, it's structured. If you follow the structure, you probably you will be comfortable, although it depends on the stakeholders you're speaking to. But you cannot be a CEO consultant without being a finance person. Finance in the sense that not just finance, but you have to understand a part of finance we call management accounting. So if you break down finance, there is financial accounting and there is management accounting. Financial accounting basically prepares. So if you break down finance, if you break down accounting as a concept or as a course, we have two branches. We have financial accounting, we have management accounting, and you use two of them in a company. Financial accounting focuses on external reporting, external and internal reporting. While management accounting focuses on only internal reporting. So the information here does not go out to stakeholders. It does not leave the business. Financial accounting has some kind of structure. It follows accounting principles like double entry principle, all the conventions and, whether it's accrual concepts, cash basis, consistency and all the principles that goes with accounting. But management accounting has no structure. That's what makes it a little bit more complex. And you can imagine something that doesn't have a structure and you are trying to implement it in a system. So it would so CEO is the most for me, I would say it's the most difficult module because there is no two management, there's no two project that is ever the same. There's no two config setting that is the same. And if you check, management accounting really focuses on information needed by management to make very strategic decisions. For example, if we're in the manufacturing sector, that's where you will see the power of management accounting, where you need to make decisions around things like costing, things like manufacturing cost, overhead expenses, things like budgets, things like compliance issues, things like stakeholder, shareholder decisions, things like even around increasing salaries or or investing in assets or equity or investing in an asset or any decision that management needs to take. They rely on management reports, but there is no structure for management reports because every business and every management report has different factors or different characteristics or different inputs that goes into generating that report. For example, if management wants to take a decision whether to increase the cost price of what they produce, what kind of information will they need? I'm asking. So let's say, for example, these people produce cars and there's a decision to increase the cost of car we sell to our customers. So cost to customers. So I'm asking the group whether you're an accountant or not. If we want to make a decision to increase the cost of cars we sell, what kind of information will the CFO, the CEO, and all those kind of people need for us to make this decision?
Also,
Anybody? We want to,
also
yeah.
production costs and
Uh-huh.
other variables like deflation factors,
Yep.
the risk issue that the company is facing, and all those things will be part of the costs to be put into consideration when you're trying to determine the costs. You also check what
Yes.
competitors are charging too for the
Very,
same
very
item.
correct. Very, very correct. Another person wants to add? We can also check the company strategy for the new financial year. Company strategy, they might have want to change their strategy from saving, they want to start, they want to invest more on plants and equipment, and they feel that after investing so much on those things, the prices of our cars needs to go, or there are new features, AI features they want to put into the cars, or you know, government policy has changed. Just this thing Trump is doing, and Trump has come up with a new tariff. Of course, if you look
Europe.
at the news, yeah, if you look at the news recently, if Trump increases, Trump, in quote, says he wanted to increase steel 10% tariff on steel. That will have a multiple effect on every sector that uses steel to do anything. So that alone can drive cost up. And so these are factors that we can. But you see why management accounting is different from financial accounting. So you see, there is not, there's no one way. Everything is dynamic, and it's the job of the CEO consultant to be able to use data and information available in the system to support management in making these very key decisions. And also that starts with number one, understanding the concept of management accounting and understanding the industry where you find yourself. If you find yourself in the manufacturing industry, there's a whole lot of work because in manufacturing, when we talk about costing, you're talking about, you know, whether you're using, what costing method you're using, how do you recognize cost, how do you split cost, how do you charge cost, are you breaking your cost down into direct labor, direct material, how do you handle overhead, how do you handle your costing sheets, how do you generate one cost of producing something. It's really that FI is standard. FI has structure. Like if you can configure, you get to this point, you're good. But in management accounting, there's nothing like that. Everything depends on you understanding the business, understanding the sector, understanding the industry, understanding information system within that module, and understand also how SAP works in CEO. So that's just giving you a little bit of context about cost accounting. And when we talk about controlling, and one thing you must know about the module is that it is used to provide information to management for. So what is CEO for? What is the use of CEO? One, CEO is used to provide It's used to provide information to management. So info to management for number one, planning. So people, uh, one of the job of the CEO consultant is to make sure that information is available to management, to senior management, to production people, to any stakeholder within the business to support them with planning. Because there's a lot of um, spending, a lot of budgeting, a lot of operations happening within the CEO module. Before that happens, people need to plan. So as a consultant in CEO, you must make sure that key stakeholders have the information they need for planning. That's the essence of the module. Why financial accounting is for reporting. That's the core. Here, the information here, stakeholders need the information to one, support planning, two, to support reporting, and number three, to support monitoring of cost, either cost of production or cost of running the business. Cost of running business. So I would say CEO is more lively because we don't wait for month end to do anything in CEO. CEO is as you go. While financial accounting, most of the core activities happen at the end of the month. Of course, when you're posting transactions, but CEO is you know, ever changing because you can be manufacturing something this week and you can observe that the let's say the operational cost has gone up. You have to escalate that if that is beyond budget or above the budget. So there's a lot of CEO is more proactive. I would say FI is more react. FI is That's why we say FI is a traditional. It's a historical. It uses historical cost where everything happens. Things happen after. You know After it has happened. That's when you see FI because when you get financial report, transactions have already gone, and you can now see. But in management accounting, it's a little bit more real time, and you can track and manage these activities on a real time basis. So it's just one thing to note about CEO. I have a brief slide there. I'm just going to go through it briefly. Then I'm going to be picking up some major points before we go. Of course, this course is for everybody, whether you're accountants, managers, controllers. Then we'll see, some good things about CEO. This is where I want to focus on. So you can look at topics under CEO. CEO is called controlling, and it's a very, very vast topic. Like I said, it's another word from FI. And CEO has key topics. So under controlling, you're seeing here, we talk about profit center accounting, cost element accounting, um, internal orders, product costing, profitability, activity-based costing, allocations, assessments, distributions, cost center accounting, and all these other key topics you find under CEO. All these topics are geared towards providing information for management to support with planning, reporting, and monitoring. Again, that is the essence of CEO, which is a little bit different from FI. But CEO cannot exist without finance, just like every other module. They are very close, but CEO cannot exist without finance. So, what is the goal of controlling? Like we have said, one, for managerial accounting, which is also what we call control, is designed to collect transactional data that provides a foundation for preparing internal reports that support decision making for the business. Take note, this is a goal of CEO. One, we have said that it supports planning. Oh, sorry, my bad. This doesn't want to allow me right here. So let me leave it here. So we have said it supports planning. It supports what? Reporting. And it supports monitoring costs.
Decision making.
Yes, and at the end, decision making. Now, if you take note of the term here, it is designed now as a module. What does it do in SAP? One, it is designed to collect costs. It is designed to collect transactional data. So let me go back to my board. Now, if you look at CEO, which is a very interesting module, I think, although I'm looking more for managerial roles, but if I want to really focus on SAP after learning FI, I think one of the very good things is to now specialize in CEO. It will really put you in a very high demand, but it's not easy. You have to really understand management accounting, then it will give you that foundation to go into CEO. However, it's doable, but you have to upskill at some point. So we have said that. What does CEO module do? CEO module collects transactional data. So without this data, there is no CEO. And where does it collect the transactional data from? FI.
FI.
Yes. Collects transactional data from finance. How does it collect transactional data from? We're going to look at as we move on. Let me finish with the explanation, then we will move on to the next thing. So it collects transactional data that provides the foundation for preparing internal reports. So the essence of this data is to provide internal reports. The question is, how does it collect? How does it, another question we'll ask is, if this is a woman, sorry for women out there, and she's pregnant and a baby is inside, yeah? How does this baby feed? So the baby feeds through the, either the veins, of course, for blood, through the arteries, through the veins, through the intestine, through, I think, various, and no woman here should have told us, but the way the body is designed, once the lady is pregnant, things are activated in the womb, and information flows, or blood and food, everything flows into the baby, and the baby keeps growing. That's how CEO. This baby is CEO, and this woman is FI. So you can see that without the mother, the baby cannot survive and will not receive information or receive, what they need to be able to survive in the womb. So the woman is FI, the baby is CEO. Now, how does information flow from finance to CEO? It's through what we call your general ledgers. And it gets to CEO through CEO objects. CEO objects. What are these CEO objects? We have mentioned them: cost centers, office centers, channel orders, product costing, activity-based costing. I think these are the major ones. But the only way information can flow to FI is through the ledgers. So that's why before you do CEO, you have to set up ledgers. And when the information gets, for example, to cost center, and the manager says, give me how much, let's say there's a cost center for operations, how much operational cost we have made for the month. The manager can ask you, how much operational cost have we made for a month? It is now that for the CEO person to answer this question, he should have integrated GLs. So information should have flowed from GLs to cost centers. Then from cost center, you can run reports to see how much cost has been generated for a particular cost center. So I will give you an example. For operational cost center, question is, what will make up, what kind of expense from FI will feed into operational cost center? You're going to have things like logistics expenses. Depending on the classification, you're going to have things like selling expenses. You're going to have things like repair and maintenance. You're going to have things like labor. You're going to have things like um, um, operational staff salary. Now, note that all these things you're seeing are called GLs. But because when we create transactions, we have told the system to map these GLs to a particular cost center called operational cost center. So immediately we create transactions and save, automatically, or let's say if this is 100,000, this is 200K, this is 500K, this is 700K, this is 10K, all these costs will sit in the ledger as well as replicate here to give us the total cost, for example, $2,000. So this is how, so the CEO guy, because this integration has been done, he will report back to the manager to say, the cost of operations for this month is $2,000. But how did he get the $2,000? Is from transactional expense that flowed from FI to the cost center, operational cost center. Does this simplify it enough? Do you now understand how FI supplies information to CEO and CEO uses that information for internal reporting? Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Or do you have any question?
Yeah, my question. My question: how do CEO, how do they collect the transactional data at one point, at one shot?
At transactional level, when we're entering transactions. So, for example, let me show you so that it makes a little bit more. And that's a very good question. I know where you're heading to. You want to, let's give you some visibility. So, for example, let me go /O. Let me go to FB60, which is where we enter expenses. And I'll show you how the system, how that happens. What's happening? Okay, let me just go back, save myself time. So if I go to accounting, I'll just come here. It's a little bit slow. Okay, just say FB60. You will learn transaction code soon. This transaction code is to enter vendor invoices. Sorry, it's maybe this might be Slack in the server. Okay, while this opens, let's look at the last statement we have here. And like we've said that it is used, so whoever needs this information will get it at the cost center for operational, the operational cost center we talked about. And that information, maybe the manager needs that information to support with making decision. So one thing will happen is, for example, that operational cost, we have seen that is £2,000 that we have spent so far. The manager might say, wow, is this within budget or is this outside budget? If it's too high, and maybe start thinking of options or ways to reduce that operational cost. So he might ask, what is the breakdown of this cost that made up this expense? Then we can go and the system will give him that information, in the sense that the system will tell him logistics is there, logistics expense is there, salary is there, repair and maintenance. So he will get that breakdown. And for example, if he sees repair and maintenance is 50K, say he will ask the question, why? Why is it 50K? Then it's the job of the finance people to explain, or maybe the responsible department to explain, okay, this repair and maintenance happened because one of our plants went down. And, we didn't have the leverage of, it was an emergency service. It was not part of the routine maintenance. Therefore, we had to pay extra cost to maintain the machine. That's why the cost of machine. You see how finance and management account, you see how they speak together. You see how we use technology to just make life easy and drive change and drive processes and look at supporting decision making and investigating further into what like we say, monitoring the cost. That's one of the core aim of CEO. So that's just giving you some context into how these modules work. Let's go back to SAP and show you. Now, this is a typical supplier invoice. Normally, I will select my GL here, but if you go further to your right, you will see cost center. So you see that once I select my GL here, for example, and provide a cost center, automatically, whatever amount I'm posting here, and I select a GL here, for example, if you click here, you will see the list of your GLs. So I select this admin expense and I put 460,000 here, and I come here and I select the cost center. Sorry, it's asking me for controlling area. I don't know. Not supposed to come this far. Anyways, but let's come here. You will see cost center. Let me see if I will see the list of cost centers here. This one. This, I hope it sucks. Let me check. Yes. Okay. Let me open and see. No values. Okay. Sorry, guys. I didn't want to go deep into this, but let me just leave this so I don't spend so much time. So once you provide, you see a cost center here. Let's say that cost center is this figure. What it means is when I post this transaction, this 60,000 will go to my ledger. This same 60,000 will flow to the cost center through my ledger. And that's how cost centers get information. And sometimes at the back, we map it automatically. So you don't have to come here and keep selecting cost center. It's called cost center assignment. We can tell the system that whenever you select this GL, you should automatically pick this cost center. And exactly what will happen. Anytime you're posting that GL, it is tied to a cost center. And as you post, the cost center receives its cost. That is how finance and controlling work together. And that's why that module is specific for management accounting. Are you okay now, Evie?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Awesome. That's how it works within the system, and it's very interesting. Now we have looked at the components of controlling. We have talked about all the components. I hope now you know what the components are. The components are controlling are cost center accounting, profit center accounting, internal orders, product costing. Those are the components accounting, and we'll see it in the configuration as we move on. But before we move on, let me also explain the CEO organizational structure. You need to understand this also to be able to appreciate CEO as a module. So in the org structure, so let me check if I have it here. Okay, in the org structure, of course, we have the concept of clients, which is always at the top. And of course, in CEO, we have what we call the operational concern, operating concern. That is the highest hierarchy. Concern, sorry, my operating concern. That is the highest hierarchy in the CEO module. And under operating concern, you have controlling area or controlling. Or what we call controlling area, either controlling or controlling area. And under controlling area, we now have all the key elements like cost centers, profit centers, product costing, and the rest. And of course, just by profit center, we have what we call COPA, which is profitability analysis. So, and under the controlling area, before we have this, we also have company codes. So you can see that when we are mapping, creating all these org objects, we have to map them to a company code as well as to a controlling area. Everything for reporting purposes, controlling area needs to be mapped to your company code. So just explain some of these terminologies. We have said that operating concern is the highest hierarchy of the org structure, for most likely we would say for COPA, which is your profitability analysis, while controlling area is the highest reporting. So one is highest org structure, one is highest reporting level. So controlling area is the highest reporting level under the cost center accounting. The controlling area is an organizational unit, within a corporation in which comprehensive, independent, I'll say, management accounting can be performed. Of course, under controlling area, we have said you have the other objects like cost centers and internal orders. And you can assign multiple company codes. Multiple company codes can use the same controlling area. So for example, Evie's company can use my controlling area. My company can use my controlling area. Why is that? It's used for, multiple companies can connect so that they can have one controlling area, and that can help for group reporting. So it's a very, 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 and I think I will have to stop at this level. Anything further down here will be very deep, like we want to learn CEO as a module. So you can learn CEO as a module different from FI, or you can learn FI CEO. That means that the part of CEO you learn will be the part that will enable you to run FI. Because if you don't configure CEO, you can't successfully run FI. And we'll see some very interesting reports from CEO when we finish our configurations. I hope to show you that. But this is the basics of CEO. And the next thing we'll be looking at now is to really go into configurations. So let's configure the basic requirements we need from CEO to enable us run FI. Let's move back and let's go continue with our configuration. So to start with configuration of CEO, I love SAPO. I mean, it's one tool that I've used a lot of ERPs, but it's the robustness is what interests me a lot at some point. Specific this thing ask. Sorry, let me just cancel this. You want yes. Let me say /n SPRO. Let it close this page. Okay, so let's start with basic configuration for CEO before we move into basic stuff. So the first thing you go to SPRO, then you go to controlling. Then we have, these are the modules we talked about: general controlling, cost center, internal orders, activity-based costing, product costing, profitability analysis, and of course, profit center accounting. These are core modules in CEO. So we'll start with general. So you go to general, and under general, you have to configure the organization, which is always every configuration in modules, you have to start with the structure. The other organization, you will find the controlling area, like we say, is the highest reporting hierarchy within controlling. Why operating concern is the highest in terms of hierarchy for COPA. So under controlling, you can see that controlling area is the highest hierarchy. From the flow of information, you can see it's the first thing you configure before you configure other things. Then you go to maintain controlling area, you will see the different options we have. So we can copy, we can maintain from scratch, and we can, do whatever templates we have. So it depends. If we want to copy, we can copy from an existing company, which will save us some time. But if we don't want to copy, then we can create as from scratch. So if you come here and say, for example, maintain controlling area, then you will see the list of controlling areas here already. But let's go through we'll check as much as we can do. So for here, you can either select this and copy the one you want, or we click on new entries. Click on new entries, you see everything is quite new. And, sometimes, you might not have exact all this information as you want. So, but let's learn. So here I can, provide the name, provide this thing, select what I want, put the fiscal year, put the chart of accounts, fiscal year variant, standard hierarchy, and this is fine. So let's start from scratch, for example. So I want the controlling area to be equal to the company code. So I select this. So it will ask me for the company code. I'll say ABCU, which is my company code, and it will select that as the same. Immediately I select that, it will pull out my company name, the currency type, the currency amount, everything. It pulls out everything. The only thing it will not pull out is this guy. I need to make sure that I have this guy. Just a minute. So I'll say, so there are two options: controlling area, same as company code, or cross company code cost accounting. What does this mean? If I say controlling area, same as company code, what it means is that it will pick the exact information on my company code and will restrict me to the old. I mean, I can't extend my controlling area to other company codes. It will just make sure that this controlling area is equal to this company code. But if I select cross company code costing, it means, I can extend my controlling area to other company codes. And it's very important that we keep that option open. So it depends on what the user requirement is and what we want to achieve. So I'll use cross company code accounting. So it's available to other company codes. And currency type. Remember we talked about different types of currency last time. It's also advisable that when you're set, because controlling area, other companies can access controlling area, you want to make sure that your currency is in group currency, not in company code currency. As long as you select this guy, you have to make sure that, or even if it's at company code level, you have to make sure that if controlling area, other company codes will use the same controlling area, they have to, then reporting has to be in group currency, which is different from company currency. And we will see that as we move on. We have talked about the concept of currency in our previous class. Then, of course, standard hierarchy is important. We can say that this is ABC. You can type, you can type what you want in your standard hierarchy. We can say this ABCU 001 controlling area. So this will be our standard hierarchy for our CO. Then you can check down, you can have authorizations. We're not doing anything with these guys here, so they're not important. But if we want to use this, standard hierarchy for our cost centers, then we can select this, but it's not necessary. So we have done the first side of the work. When you're done, the next thing you will go to is activate components or control indicators, this folder here. Might ask you to save before you do this, but it's fine. But just double click the folder to open it. Yes, it asks you want to save. Yes. This hierarchy does not exist. Do you want to save it? Yes. Then it will open up us to this screen. So here you can now assign the company code that will be feeding into this, the components that will feed into this controlling area. So let's say new entries. So one thing we'll check is our fiscal year. Our fiscal year, we started this company. Did we start this? We started this year, yeah? Yes, we started our config. When did we start our config,
January.
guys?
January.
January. Okay. I can always check. Let me /O. Let me check my fiscal year settings /O SPRO. Okay. Then go to this. Go to my fiscal year. Go to financial accounting. First, I will check my global settings. Global parameters. Because if you put the wrong date, then it's going to be a problem. Oh, because I'm on CEO, so it's locked. Okay, let me check my FI, my calendar fiscal year. It will lock also. Let me see if it will. Okay. No, let me say the one I assigned to my company code. Oh, yeah, because of that impact. I'm just thinking, did we use 2026? I'm just thinking. I don't think we typed 26 anywhere. So what I will do, let me stop this for now. Let me just validate. Because if I
Just take a
put the
calendar
wrong,
year and then K4. We just say calendar year as K4.
yeah, I can't open calendar year if this is closed. I don't want to put the wrong fiscal year here. Let me save. Let me go back. Yes. Let me save this first. I'll come back and activate. That's a good idea. I just want to be sure that my fiscal year calendar is the same. Because if I put a wrong thing, these are all warnings, so no problem. Just say okay. Okay, so let me go back and do the needful. Let me check here first. So what I have here is where's my fiscal year? Okay, K4. Okay, let me check. Sorry. Okay, so now I can go to open and close posting variant. No. Open and close period. What was my variant? ABCU. Okay, so 2026. So I can see here that it's correct, 2026. So once you're not sure, please check so that you don't system doesn't you're doing the correct thing. I wasn't sure at all. Okay, so sometimes the year just started, so I must have forgotten. Okay. All right, so let's go back. So we're still here. I'll go to activate component. Now, if you want to go back, just go back in case you left here and you were in the same shoe with me. So go back, come back to maintain controlling area, go to maintain controlling area, then search for the one we just created, ABCU. Here, so select it by the side and open the activate components. So new entries, so 2026, click on enter. You see, to say from 2026 to this. So if this is wrong, then if your financial year is not 2026, then you have problems. Then what components we activate? We will use cost center, so we need to activate them. We use activity type in case. We'll not use order management. We won't use all these guys, fortunately. So I think we can just select projects. This is fine. So select our cost centers is, I think, and activity type. Those are the two important elements we will need to activate at this time. So click on save and say okay. Critical transport, yes. So give this some time and say okay. So we have activated. The next thing we'll do is the next folder here, assignment of company code. So go here and say new entries. Because I selected cross company code, you see, I can assign your company codes to this. If I selected the option of only company code, I won't have been able to see other options. So yeah, I'll say ABCU. I'll assign my, so automatically my company code is now assigned to this controlling area. And this would this is an example of the structure you see here. Operating concern, which is tied to COPA, but controlling area feeds into company code. This is the mapping. Then others here will feed into the company code. Then I click on enter to validate and I save. So I have successfully, yes, currency have been added to FI currency. Perfect. So it's green, it's good. So change your currency type to 30. Don't leave it at 10. If you make that mistake, then you have an issue with your reporting. Say okay. Awesome. So we are done with this first bit. The next thing we will do, and save this, is to go back in our structure. We have defined our controlling area. You can close. Then you have the next option here, or these are all, not so relevant requirements. You can run budget project, display technical details. We don't need all this. So we'll close this guy. What we need here is to maintain number ranges for controlling documents. Just the same way we maintain number ranges for finance documents, we need to also maintain number ranges for controlling documents. So if we're going to be doing cost centers, profit centers, and all that, when we generate those documents, we should have numbers that track those transactions. I'm mindful of the time. I think once we finish this first basic config of CO, we should be all right. We'll pick up next week. Then I'll click on maintain number ranges for controlling documents. My controlling document is ABCU. And if I go to interval, I will check. You will see that we don't have any existing one. So we need to copy from somewhere. So if you go up to this sign, you will see copy sub-objects. Click on copy. So we'll copy from, we won't copy, we don't have any here, so we can't copy from here. So we'll look for a standard, an existing company code and copy from. So we can copy from any of these company codes for any of these controlling areas. But there's one I used. I had the one I used. So they all have. Should be, let's see. You can copy from any anyways, but there's my KHSN of my socks. Yeah. Yes, so I can copy from my socks. I've used it. So select that and say okay. So before you know it, it will generate numbers. So it will transport some numbers, number ranges for me to use for my transaction or for CO document. If I go to interval now, I should see some numbers have been copied. So these are number ranges. So for each of these document number range, these are numbers. So if I post a transaction with 01, it will fall within these number ranges. So go back. So we have successfully defined number ranges for our controlling documents. The next thing we are going to be doing is to maintain versions. Now, what is maintain versions in CO? And what does it do? This functionality here. It's basically used for planning and actual data, because CO does a lot of planning. In fact, one of the beauty of it is to run variance at the end of, all your activities. And variance is very important. For example, if we go back to the controlling area, I think there's also a part you will see variance, but we'll see it well now. And we check for our controlling area. We select and we go to assignment to company code. No, go to activate components. You will see variances here. So I can select that if I'm going to be planning call centers, I want to see variance, and I can save. I can select that at this level or not. All right. So if you go back again, that's what the maintain version is used for. It's used for planning and to document actuals. So, and we have different versions. You can represent different scenarios, with different versions. For example, you can plan for price, you can plan for wage increases, and we call it version 0. So version 0 is the most used version for planning and actual data. It's a standard version in SAP. So you see, you have version 1, version 2, version all these, but you can also create your own versions. But it's the standard version that is used and recommended by SAP. So SAP recommends version 0 if you want to plan in a single version only and for all plan and actual comparisons. And one thing you should also note is that version 0 is automatically created for fiscal years when you create your controlling area. So automatically version 0 is created. If the existing fiscal year is not created, then it can be created by clicking new entries. So if we have not seen the existing areas, then we can create it. But you see version 0 is already here. We will check if it's created automatically. So select version 0. And what we are interested in is controlling area setting for this version 0. So double click on controlling area setting, put your controlling area. We just want to use version 0 for planning. You see version 0 is created automatically for this controlling area automatically. But let's check if it's created for our fiscal year, because that's also another very important option. So go double click, select, double click on, so you see our fiscal year and 4 other fiscal year have been created. And here we have said allow copying. We can also tell the system to allow for integrated planning. If we want to lock this version, we click here. So if we're done, click on save. This is okay. You want me to print screen? No. Okay. I think we need to, do you want to cancel? Yes. Okay, so I think there's something we need to do to support with this function. So we'll leave align copy for now. Then if you want to check your business transaction for reference versions, you can check, but it's not permitted for the environment we're in. Also, when we do profit centers, we also make sure we set up versions for them, but everything has been set up automatically. Really, it's just to check. So just save, just in case, and you go back. So we have version 0 has been created to enable us plan our transactions, and it's very, very important. So the next thing we will do here is we will check the define ledger for CO versions. If you click on that, we will check our controlling area whether leading ledger and non-leading ledger has been assigned. So you see now that the integration between CO and FI happens here in terms so that we can, report in whether it's IFRS or GAAP, and also reporting in our local currency. So we have to integrate the CO area with our ledgers to create that integration. Sometimes it's done automatically, sometimes you need to check. So ABC is not here, so it has not been integrated. So we need to copy. So anyone, once you see that let me copy again. If you can copy from any company or you copy from an existing one. So I can select here. You can click new and put all this, or you can copy. So I click on copy. It's easier. ABCU is my controlling area. So select it. The version is version 0 for planning. It's connected to my leading ledger. I click on enter. So you can see the integration between CO and FI is CO will pick information from our leading ledgers for reporting purposes. And that's the flow. We're done. We click on save. And we say okay. And we say this is good. So we have done the first basic mapping between FI and CO. We have done the organizational mapping because this is sitting at organizational level. And this is basically an interesting configuration. Okay, so the next thing we will check is some basic rules. So if we come down to general, go back to general, we can check if there is any other thing we need here. There's no for planning. Let's see. No, we're not setting up. Let's see planning categories. This should be set up already. Yes, these are all set up already by standard. So we don't need all that for now. So for account assignment logic, okay, if we're doing validation and substitutions, we're going to pick this much later. It's a scenario where it depends on how you want your transactions to be carried, but this is more advanced for now. So we'll pick this up when we have understood basics, really. So I think these are what we have done is the one of the basic things, but we have the option here to manage multiple valuation approaches and transfer prices. We need to work on this before we move to profits and cost centers, but I don't know how much time we have, but let's do this. So you go to manage multiple valuation and transfer prices. This is very important. Basically it supports when you want to evaluate your inventory and your price. So if you have inventories and you want to evaluate them using different valuation approaches, it's important that you set up these valuation approaches because we have different valuation approaches, whether it's depending on the nature of the transactions. We have FIFO, we have LIFO, we have average cost, we have a lot of approach. But we need to activate the approaches here to enable us support with transfer pricing in case you're moving inventory from one company code to another. You're not selling it to them, but you're transferring a price. So we need to make sure we set up we need to configure those settings and make sure that when there's transfer pricing scenarios, each company codes can support with the price differences. So if you go to basic settings, the first thing here is to maintain currency and valuation profile. So if you click on it, we'll see if it will, okay. Yeah, let's start. So we can copy from any settings here. It's quite easy. So just copy and click on copy. We can say ABCU. Let's go. Okay, ABCU. So valuation for ABCU company code. So enter, save, enter. Yes, say okay. So make sure you copy. So when you select this, you go to details to check the details of this structure. And you see it has picked up the three very important currencies: the company code currency, the group currency, and of course the third one is company code currency, but they are used for different valuation views. So the company code currency is used for legal valuation, which is good because it's a legal entity. Group currency is used for group valuation, which is good. Then this other company codes currency is used for profit center valuation, which is also very good. So click on save and say okay. Yeah, so a table. So this is safe. So we go back. Then we assign this currency and valuation profile to our controlling area. So we go to assign. We check for our controlling area. See, it's already assigned. So we have the controlling area, we have our accompanying code, we have our currency, group currency, and then our valuation is ABCU. So you select it to assign it, enter, and save. So what we have done is to just make sure that our controlling area and our accompanying code can perform transfer prices, and we have different valuation according to different currencies. Then you can maintain descriptions for valuation basis. I don't think this is necessary, but let's check. Okay, so all our currency types are there, so it's not that we're creating new currency types. So nothing much for here. Create versions. We already have version. For valuation methods, there's probably a lot of existing versions there. So we have versions already existing. I'm just taking you through to know we have ledger for CO version already. So this is to check ledger settings. Let's can assign currency type. We already have currency types assigned. I think the most important thing we do next is so everything's are assigned here. Most important thing we need to do now is to activate. So activate valuation area for. Okay, let's check material ledger. I think this should also be done. Material ledger is the ledger that facilitates the transfer pricing and the valuation when there are via different currencies. So let's check. Let's check position. Let's check our valuation area. Sure is activated. So we don't have one. So we can copy. Wait, are you sure we don't have? Let me go back. Did you guys see? I'm not sure. It would have picked it up. Let me just confirm. ABCU. No, we don't have. So let me copy this guy. ABCU. Enter. Yeah, so we need to create our valuation areas. So let me go back. That's why it's here. That's why we didn't pick it. But let's check. Let's check. Material type, assign material to valuation area. Although we don't need that, we're not using. I think we're done. Activate valuation area for no. We don't do this. Okay, we might just pick this up later, but I think we have defined the valuation profile we need with currency, and we have assigned currency and valuation profile to controlling area. Way to do my we will not be needing material ledger settings now. I think this is the basic settings we need to have been done. Then we need to also activate these things, transfer prices in our production system. We're not doing these activations now. But if we have set up multiple valuation approaches, you can put the controlling area here, A, B, C, U, and check for activation. No currency type view. Reconcile. Area is missing. Okay. It's configure. No currency type. I think we need to. I think we have set up these things, but let's check. Yeah, so they have been set up. Yeah, they're all set up. I think this is where the material ledger is where, and we need to activate profit centers. Okay, makes sense, makes sense. So ideally, before doing this, we should have set up our profit centers. Profit centers will feed into, it's part of our activation. So, but it's fine. Do this when you're done. Before you activate, we need to also configure profit centers. So before we do, let's set up our profit centers, and of course, move to the next thing or wrap up the session. So go back to, we are done with organization. It's a very large space. The next thing we're going to look at is profit centers, because for us to set up profit centers, we need to, for us to activate our valuation approach, we need to set up profit centers. But let me do cost centers first. So go to cost centers. You can activate cost center accounting in controlling area, but we don't have yet. So let's first create a cost center. So go to master data, go to cost centers, we can define a cost center category, and we have to go to the end user screen to create cost centers. Let's check the cost center categories we have. We have all these. We can decide to add operations or any other cost centers we have. So these are all the cost center categories we have. Nothing much here. Define cost center groups is one thing we need to do also. So go to define cost center group, create a cost center group. So it has picked up our standard cost center we entered when we're creating the controlling area. So click on enter, it's fine. Yes, use it for our cost center group. So we'll call this group ABCU cost center for cost center group. So all our cost centers will be under this group. So if you want to create a cost center, you can do it from here. You can see the icon here, insert cost center. So you can click here, from here you can create the cost center and just insert it. But let's create the cost centers first and insert later. So just save this. So we have a cost center group. Then we go back. So we have a cost center group. The next thing we need to do is, I think basic thing here is we can now create a cost center. And to do that, we need to go to the end user screen. So if I do /n, come to the controlling module. So go to accounting, controlling, cost center accounting, master data, cost center, individual processing, and create cost centers. So go to KS01. And here we can create our own cost center. So if you check here, we can call this first center ops. You can say it's valid from 01/01/2026. Click on enter. Yes. So here, provide the cost center names. We can say operational cost centers, cost center, copy. Person responsible is me. Here you have to create it first. So here, department, operations, cost center category. you will see the cost center category we created. Or we're supposed to do our hierarchy first. So all these are the cost center categories we can use overhead. Then here, just click the drop down. It will bring that our cost center hierarchy we created when we first created our controlling area. If we have business area, which we talked about last time, we can assign a business area, which is, we use the ABCU to create business areas. And this is where the magic is. We have not created cost centers. So ideally, we can, let me just create, thought I created one. Yes, ABCU. Yes, AB, can use any of this one. Yeah, or we can create new one. I created, let me use ABC. Just use this one, then enter. We can always come back and provide a cost center. Yeah, so we're done. Go to controlling area. You can tell the system to record quantities. You can lock all these areas if you don't want it to lock. You can go to templates to pick from planning templates. You can check the address of this cost center, the communication, the English, the key. You can use EN as the English key, and the history of this cost center. So if you go back to basic data, I think we have provided all we want, then we save. But if you want this cost center to also give you profitability, then we need to provide a profit center. We can always come back to do that. But we have created our first cost center, and which is fine. The last thing we're going to do is to create our profit center. Then we call it a day. Then you will have some very good stuff to work on over the week. So if we go back to CEO and go to profit centers, go to basic setting, you can set controlling area for your profit center. So check the controlling area is set. Here you can go to controlling area settings. Then you maintain controlling area settings for profit centers. Click on it. Yeah, you need to put the standard hierarchy for profit centers within the controlling area. So we had a standard hierarchy, but we can create something else. So let's say ABCU underscore profit center. Then you can also provide the profit center currency. We use company code currency, but we can use profit center currency here. So select, say okay. Enter local currency for profit center, which is USD. That's what we're using. You can store currency transaction. Then you can activate this. Activate our profit center for 2026. Then you save. There's profit center valuation is necessary. So let's do this. Okay, it's telling us to do this. Let's see. Awesome. So let's select this. I want legal valuation, but let's enter. Okay, so it wants us to manage it at profit center valuation level, which makes sense. Then save. And so this is saved. So we remember when we're doing our valuation, we saw company valuation at company code at profit center level and at company code. So this is to activate our profit centers. Remember to tick this activate sign. Save, then you go back. Then, of course, for planning purpose, you can set control parameters for actual planning. You can maintain planned versions. We have done all that in CEO. We will not be picking up that here again. Then let's come back to control. Let's come back to basics. We have done the basic settings. Let's go back to master data, profit centers. Here you can define a standard hierarchy for profit center. We already have created one. Here we can create a dummy. It's advisable to first create a dummy profit center to test your configuration. So I'll say this is ABCU ABCU underscore profit center 1. Then click on basic data. Oh no, let me change this to dummy underscore dummy. Yes. Me to basic data. So we can call this ABCU dummy profit center. We can also use it for postings, but it's just to test our configurations. ABCU profit center. Responsible person. It's me. Departments. We can say this is ops or sales. So this is profit center, so it should be sales related. Profit center group, we have created one, which is this. Then you can see now that business area is tied to cost centers, segment is tied to profit centers. I remember we also created a segment. I think that is the one we created. Maybe some of those have left, but we need to create more. So let's say ABC. I think it's ABC we used because we have ABCU. So we select our segment, go to indicators, go to company codes, make sure that it's assigned to your company code. Everything looks good, you save. So if this saves correctly, it means that the dummy is fine. So we can now create our own profit center. So click on create profit center, create profit center. So we will change this from dummy to ABCU ops 1. Then go to master data. Go to master data. Then it comes up. You see, this is different from the dummy. Here we have the year. Put the profit center name. So we can say sales operations. Profit center. Sales operations, profit center. Person responsible to my name. Department, sales. Profit center group was created, so it comes automatically. Segment is ABC. That's our segment as created. Then check indicators to make sure everything is fine. If there is a planning formula we need to use, we can use. Remember, TO is about planning and actuals. So check our company code to make sure it's mapped correctly, is assigned. Check address, check communication, everything looks good. Go back to basic data, and you can either save this, but if you save it, it will be inactive. You save as inactive, but you can use this sign here to say activate. So click on activate. Then automatically our profit center has been created successfully. So if we want to assign this profit center to our cost center, remember, go to SPRO, go to controlling. Okay, no. Let's go to our cost centers in the end user screen /O. No. Sorry, let me just go back. So go to this change. We can change the cost center we created. So you see there's no profit center here. Remember, this is the first cost center, so you can assign our new profit center now. It should pick up. So it has, we have dummy and we have sales operation profit center. So select so that we can run reports, both, cost and revenue. Then we save. Yes. So we will make sure. So we have assigned our profit center to our cost center. And we go back. The next thing we're going to do is, I think we have run out of time. If you leave me, I can keep going. But let me make sure I know where we stopped. So when next we come next week, we're going to be moving forward with our cost center. We need to check the assignments. Not this now. Okay. Where is that? We need to go to actual posting and maintain automatic account assignments. We also need to make sure we finish with the transfer pricing we're doing. I think this is fine. We can put our company code, we'll create, look at the concept of cost elements, align cost elements to our cost centers. What this does is anytime, this is the cost center and this is the GL. So anytime it's the primary cost element, anytime we create anything that is linked to this cost center, automatically it maps to the company code. It's just like an automated way of mapping your cost centers and your profit centers, and as well as your GLs, because cost element is also directly linked to your primary cost element is also linked to your GLs. And that is a one-to-one relationship. And that's why in S4HANA, FI and CO are neatly integrated at the chart of accounts level. I'll show you that next week. But let's end here for today. When we come next week, we will create cost elements, which are your primary cost elements, which is an integration with your GLs. First, we'll create GLs. We'll create secondary cost elements. We will do the default account assignment, and we'll finish with the activation of our valuation areas. Please remind me that this is where we need to pick up from. But I hope you have found this session interesting. CEO is really interesting. It's one module that, you don't get tired of learning, but to go deep into it would mean that you want to be a CEO consultant. But what we're doing are basic configurations to enable us run FI. You need to set up these configurations at the CEO level and do the integrations so that you can run your FI successfully. So take note, next week when we come, we're going to be doing a little bit more hands-on. So if you can get to this point in your configuration and you go through all the hassles and the challenges and you can get to this point, I think you have really achieved a lot, and we'll pick up the rest from there. Any questions?